What's going on, people? We are back here with the, I'm going to call it the Brock and Griffin show.
Yeah, I like it.
So,
Good morning, Richard.
Good morning. So what's going on, everybody? Obviously, Austin's not here today. He is in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And
another vacation.
Another vacation for the CEO.
You know, I've only been using the cameras on these for like 2-3 months, and I feel like there's almost like 1 month each, or one time each month that he's out of town.
Yeah, he claims this is the last one for a good while, but it really depends on his wife's plans.
Yeah, tax return, maybe another stimulus.
Yeah.
We might see him gone again, jet setting.
So you're stuck with us today, but we got a good one. We got some good drinks, good topics, I believe, good questions, and new drinks.
Yeah, so this is the Bang Delish Strawberry Kiss. So I'm a Bang head, I will say. I'm a Bang stan. So.
Have you tried like every one?
At this point, yes.
So you prefer Bang over Rain?
Yeah, I would say so. It comes down to the carbonation.
You like more carbonation.
Yeah, Bang will kind of like clear your throat out. It's almost like how they say like Chinese mustard. Yeah, will clear out your sinuses. Bangs will do this. So let's see. I do like some of the Rains, like the orange dreamsicle, the lychee, which I was surprised Maddie didn't like it.
Well, Maddie's picky. She's weird with her flavors. Good. Smells very sweet.
Yeah.
I like that. Is it a kiwi? Do you get kiwi?
Let me try again.
I get heavy strawberry, but it's not like artificial or too sweet tasting. But then
it is good.
Doesn't it taste like kiwi a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit of an aftertaste, yeah. I am a big strawberry fan, though, I will say. But, I don't know. I still feel, good. Well, you know, as I take another sip, I sometimes feel like strawberry stuff just never quite hits it. Like the Rain Strawberry Sublime, I'm like, dang, it's like so close.
Strawberry's a weird flavor. I feel like we had something else that was strawberry recently that I'm trying to pinpoint, but I don't know. It's a weird flavor to put into like a liquid.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I feel like, and same with most fruits. I mean, you think of banana tasting things, like Maddie had this Bloom banana cream protein, and it's like, well, it tastes like banana, but it's just so sweet and so artificial. It's like you don't really like it that much, you know?
I feel like a lot of banana stuff always tastes like banana runts.
Or it tastes like banana Laffy Taffies, you know?
Yeah. And strawberry stuff, I think the biggest thing, it never fully like is juicy or like slightly tart enough. I feel like they always go somewhat more mild, and it never really like gets that full.
This one has a little bit of like a gummy sweetness to it. You know what I mean?
It's pretty good though.
Yeah, no, like.
But I would say probably like 6.5 maybe.
Yeah, truth be told, yeah. I'll side with you. 6.3, 6.5, something like that.
So I was thinking about this morning before I came in here that, and yesterday too, to be honest, because I was going home and I was going to meal prep, and then I was going to go to Cabela's and just get the grill top for that propane thing I got the other day to be able to grill out. But then I was like, dang, it's like 4:30. If I go over there and I get home, it's going to be like dark. And I was also thinking it's kind of cold, but I was just thinking about for that, you know, winter's really kind of digging its feet in right as we get to spring, like those last few days. And do you ever feel like I get a lot more productive or happy in general, like just with longer days and like more sun? And I don't want to say it's like seasonal affective disorder or other stuff like that, because like, you know, just seasons change. It's not that big of a deal. But I find a lot of times in the winter, I just go home and like go right to bed. And
it's real.
I feel like, I don't know, I'm really looking forward to it. It's almost like how people get excited for the new year. I almost feel like when the season changes or other things like that, I get this like big surge of motivation. Or
the only thing that I really look forward to in the winters, besides like holidays, you know, in the early bit, is I do like coming to the gym with like a pump cover or like a sweatshirt or sweatpants, you know, and then like once I'm good and flowing, I take it off, because like you can't come in a sweatshirt when it's like 80 degrees out and then warm up. It's like you're way too warm. So there's that. But no, I agree completely. Like when I'm looking forward to like when I'm opening the door at 5 a.m. and it's like 60 degrees and I'm in shorts and a shirt, and you know the sun's already coming up, you know, at 6 o'clock, especially like for my runs. You know, like it usually doesn't get bright until like 8 o'clock or 9.
Yeah.
And And even like you said, in like the evenings, like when it's a little bit brighter, you just feel like there's more to do, more to going on, you know. And it's just like, I feel like I'm a lot more positive, you know. I feel like late at night you get like darker thoughts.
Yeah,
get, like,
I know.
bored.
I kind of get that way too. Like a lot of times if I go late in bed, I'm like, you know, time is fleeting. Like, what am I doing? Or like I'll look back like 10 years ago and be like, I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
Or other things like that. But
you're like alone with your thoughts.
I don't know. It is funny because I feel like when I was a little bit younger, maybe like 17 or 18, I was like, man, I love the cold. Because I do love that first hint of fall usually.
Fall's great. Yeah.
But I always felt like, you know, I love the cold because it makes me feel like I have to like keep moving, keep doing stuff to like stay warm. But now I feel maybe it's like the inner boomer that's like longing for a retirement in Florida or something like that.
Maddie and I too, we were at this wedding yesterday, and so I had on khaki pants and like a golf polo, so it wasn't like too dressed up. But keep in mind, like I had like I had short sleeves on, and then Maddie had this dress on, and so she had like sleeves, but it still wasn't like a thick dress, and she didn't have like long boots or pants really anything. And so it was okay for a while, but then once the sun went down and it was like 30 degrees, like we were in this like tent and there was a heater, but it was like far from us and we were on like the edge of the tent near where there was like space for air.
Yeah.
And we were literally like shaking like the last 2 hours. And then as we were walking to the car, like we're just literally trembling, and we got in the car and we were trying to like eat like this like snack we grabbed on the way out. We're like, it was just so bad. And I was like, yeah, I'm ready for it to be warm again. Yeah, this winter's been so long though, like
and wet.
Like I remember the first week of November here. It was like 20 degrees in the morning. I was like, damn, winter's coming early.
Yeah.
And it's March, and we still just had like a 20-something degree like morning.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like 5 months of just like brutal.
I know. It's ridiculous. But I was thinking about that, and then let's see. I was kind of going off that topic. I almost feel like when the seasons change, or like when it transitions from like winter to spring or spring to summer or other things like that, I kind of do this like audit of myself of like, okay, what are some things that I need to like work on come this season or other things like that? Because I feel like sometimes a year is just such a long increment to like have a goal for. But it does feel nice to have like that 3-month kind of like block to like work towards something rather than just a month or so. Do you ever feel like you almost like audit yourself or like check in and be like, okay, what's working, what's not working?
No, for sure. I like look at, especially like you said, when you set these like larger goals, you kind of have to break them down. It's actually one thing like I wrote down because I was listening to the audiobook. Been trying to like make sure I stick with this kind of theme of like audiobooks when I run or kind of in the car and things like that. And the book I've been listening to now is Grit. And in the chapter, she was talking about like a goal pyramid, and it's the first time I'd like heard that term. It was like a hierarchy of goals.
Yeah.
And it's something that she was kind of like referencing something Warren Buffett's done as like a he like will take people through as a planning kind of like, or like a chance to look at things, a demonstration or whatever.
Yeah.
But point is it's like you have your large goal, but oftentimes people can't envision the little goals that build it.
Yeah.
So you almost kind of want to build this overarching set of short-term goals or smaller goals that move to mid-tier goals that lead up to that large goal. And one thing that she mentioned that I thought was pretty good too is like sometimes the smaller goals don't work out. You have an injury, your feelings about something may change.
Yeah.
But having the ability to kind of like erase or switch to a different small goal that still works towards the mid goal, that still works towards kind of up there. So I feel like that kind of connects with what you were just saying with like you said, the year's so long. I feel like I look back and I turned 21 a month ago, and I'm like, damn, that was like quick.
Yeah.
There's only like 11 months and I'll be 22.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I'm like, damn, we have like this whole entire year. It just turned 2021, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel like I do have to set goals for like a certain season and then think about summer. It's kind of like I plan on like cutting soon. And I almost think of like the year almost like cut bulk seasons. Is that bad? Is that an eating disorder?
You think about in the wild, you would be like prepping for winter. Yeah, storing fat. So
I think it's primal.
Yeah, I feel like the more we can tap into this stuff, the more things just make sense.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel that way too. But yeah, I don't know. I was just thinking about that earlier today too, because it always is interesting to like, you know, everybody goes to like spring cleaning or other stuff like that. But sometimes I feel like, especially as that, you know, as we're starting to transition into spring, it gets a little bit warmer, like, you know, you get that kind of golden sun in the morning or other things like that. I kind of just want to like sit and like reflect and just be like, okay, well, you know, what do I want to like focus on in that transitional time before like summer almost?
Did you come up with anything?
I'm working on it. There's a few different things. I like to almost like set 3 different categories of like a physical, a mental, and then like a creative sort of like soul fulfilling sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm working on it. We'll touch base on that when Austin's back, I guess. But I guess we can just tap into these questions if we want to. So the first one, I wrote this down because someone had replied to my story rather than put it in the question box. So this is commitment and dedication to your craft. So kind of a general topic, but I was just thinking about it a little bit, and I feel like I was reading the Arnold Encyclopedia recently, and he talked about something that I thought was kind of interesting, which was basically, you know, we always say like discipline over motivation, but he was basically saying in the book, like, if you have some source of motivation that like, you know, is like your heart's desire or something like that, then you don't really even need discipline, or the discipline is just like enjoyable or like something that you kind of take in stride. You don't suffer through it. Just because you know that you're motivated by this like overarching principle, basically. So I don't know. I was just thinking about that, and I didn't know kind of like what your thoughts were. I know that's kind of a general topic to start off with, but I feel like sometimes it's easy to lose sight. And I've had like plenty of nights sometimes where I've gone into the gym or Gold's, and like I put on a Eric Thomas like motivational speech, like, if you want to succeed as badly as you, and I sometimes
check them out
feel
to
like,
the water. That's right.
yeah, I sometimes feel like, for me, I don't know if you ever get this way, but I get into this mind or this habit sometimes, especially for like legs or something like that, where I feel like, okay, well, I need to like carb up, and then I need to take like a pump product and a pre-workout, and I'll listen to this motivational thing, and I'll get myself like fired up or this or that. And I almost feel like I get myself so worked up to all these little variables that it feels almost so much better to just like take all of it out. No pre-workout, you know, not even music sometimes, like other things like that, and just like be alone with your thoughts, or like with that kind of, you know, internal thing, rather than all these different other factors that you think are going to help you along the way. So I don't know. Do you ever have that with like runs or other things like that?
No, I agree. Sometimes, like yesterday, I ran without music because I just wanted to just, I don't know, let my mind like wander, and just let it be how it is. But yeah, I agree. I feel like sometimes, you know, you add in all these extra like factors, and then you realize you're almost just like skipping like the base ingredients of the cake and just throwing in sugar, you know, or something.
And I feel like too, sometimes like we do all these things just to try to like get that extra edge or make things that much better. And it's like, it helps to some extent, but I sometimes feel like the more that you start incorporating that stuff, the more you realize it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, one thing they were talking about in that same book, Grit, is like the whole, like, I think that the whole book is named Grit, something, passion, and perseverance. And basically what she argues is that, like, for anyone that's like a master of like pottery, or a master of the cello, or these different, you know, people she talks about in the book, is it's like a combination of passion for the craft, like doing the work because you love it. I mean, it's like we've talked about with like video editing, like you'll spend extra hours on a video even if, you know, you're getting paid the same amount just because you love the craft.
Yeah.
But then there's also got to be the perseverance to push through something for not just a few months, not for a few years, but like years upon years. Like sometimes, you know, some of these, you know, goals that you want to accomplish are just, you know, so long. I feel like we talked about it on a recent podcast, but like I feel like some people just think they're gonna have a great physique in 2 years, 4 years. You know, I'm almost like 7 years in. I still feel like I have like a ways to go. You know, and it's like,
yeah,
I think sometimes people just gotta accept that, like, to be truly like special or great at something, it takes like not just a few years, but it takes like, you know, a decade sometimes, or multiple decades. And
yeah,
I know I've definitely faced that with like running. Like I'm probably like 8-9 months into like running consistently, and I'm still like barely average, if that. And it's like, you know, and then, you know, I'll like look at these other people and I'll forget, oh, they've been running, they've been working at this craft for 5-6 years the same way I have lifting. So it's like, you know, you got to see it for what it is. And then as long as, like you said, as long as that like passion is still there behind it, you don't have to worry about the motivation, because you'll kind of match it.
I would say for me too, you almost have to find like your initial drive for something and then just like put it on a shelf basically, and then find a way to enjoy the day to day. Like it's almost like, for me, as far as lifting goes, I feel like I remember when I first started off, like just sitting in my garage and like looking at different physiques and being like, all right, I like that. Like I could see myself having something like that. But I almost feel like you have to just kind of forget about that after a while and then focus on for your day to day, like, you know, this is what I need to do to get there, but then how can I like maximize and enjoy and like have passion in that process? So like if it comes to like your training, one thing I've been thinking about a lot lately is, you know, with my workouts, changing my mindset from just like, okay, try to make this number go higher for weight or reps, but really just thinking about for each rep, like, let me try to get the peak contraction. Let me try to get a full like stretch, get my mind muscle connection to be the top priority. And then for every set also, like, you know, really try to take it till failure. And like, am I actually choosing a weight that's like appropriate for that rep range or goal that I have set too, rather than just like, okay, 9, 10, okay, whew, like put that down. Really try to like take it to the extreme and really see like, okay, I actually got to like 19 where my goal was like 11 or 12 or something like that. So I've been trying to really just like think about that and like be present in that moment rather than just like, okay, 10, okay, move on to the next thing basically. So it's almost like it's kind of a divide, because it's like you have to put away that ultimate goal, but then at the same vein you have to know that like, okay, if I maximize my efforts here, it's only going to make me even closer to that ultimate goal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, two thoughts I had is like, one, like yourself, I feel like I've also found myself training more off like intuition recently instead of just like by the book. And two, like, yeah, I feel like it really is just in simplest terms, like, what can I do today to be just a little bit better? And then, you know, have that goal in the back of your mind. But yeah, like you said, like, you can't expect to, you know, if your goal is to deadlift 500 pounds or something and you're like right now like in the 200s, 300s, whatever, you're not going to do that overnight. So you got to just appreciate the moment, take it one workout at a time, and just know that those are going to build up to your main goal eventually. But yeah, you got to enjoy the process.
I feel like, though, kind of going off of that, when it comes to something like a deadlift, you know, 500 or something like that, I feel like on days that you're not feeling it or like you're kind of like just not in the right mindset, you can't really think about like, oh, well, I want to deadlift 500, so like let me get myself psyched up. You almost have to think about like, you know, I have to show up every day. Like, this is just like, I got to put my best foot forward today. I got to put my best foot forward tomorrow. It can't just be like, all right, well, let me try, because like this is the goal in the future. You kind of have to get yourself in the mindset of like the character of who you want to be. And that's like not something that's just a goal in the future. That's something that you really have to work on every day overall.
Yeah, and that's one thing I feel like I've adjusted is I still have like objective goals that I want to hit, but a lot of it is kind of like longevity wise, like what kind of athlete do I want to be? What kind of abilities do I want to have? Because it's not like once I hit, you know, I run this marathon, I'm like, okay, now I can stop running. Like now I can tell everyone I did it. It's like, no, I want to maintain this level of fitness. And that's like, we talked about it with like the Arnold's quote on the last podcast, is it's like, that's the thing I love so much about fitness specifically is, you know, you got to continue to almost like fill the glass as it's leaking, because otherwise it's going to like drain. And so like, even if you match a certain goal, you got to keep working hard to maintain that goal, you know?
The other thing I would say too is, finding passion in those other fields rather than just like a means to an end. So like with your diet, it can't just be, oh, I'm doing this because I want to like get in shape. Like you have to like really feel like, okay, well, you know, if I am going to eat this way, like let me make sure I'm finding things that fit my schedule, my lifestyle, like my like palate or other things like that. Or if it's cardio related, like it can't just be, okay, I want to run a marathon. It's got to be like, you know, I want to try to run the best mile I can or other things like that. Kind of just like each stroke of the brush, like you want to do as good as you can to make the painting overall the best painting it can be.
Yeah, it's kind of like for me specifically, I know it's like I want to run this marathon, but even after that, I want my weekly mileage to look like, you know, X, Y, or Z. You know, I was thinking about this the other day. Is like after I run the marathon, I'll probably want to keep my long runs in like the 10 to 13 mile range. But then that puts me in the position to where if I do set another goal for, let's say, a 30-mile race or another marathon, I can pick up kind of where I left off and ramp up the intensity there. It's not like every training session has to be this, like, work towards a goal. Yeah. But, like you said, you got to kind of almost enjoy the days irregardless of any you know, goal or certain. I feel like we use the word goal like 100 times.
I know. Well, I know we've talked about this before.
Do we want to go on another question
Sure.
at this point? I feel like we're harping on the first one.
Hey, that's okay. Some of them aren't as serious.
And that's the podcast. That's okay.
So that's why I figured that we can just kind of ramble on some of the more serious ones.
Yeah.
All right. The first one on Instagram is the best workout splits and why. So I would say I've toyed around with many. When I first started, I was doing like the one body part per day, which I actually liked. I don't know. It's fun to just feel like, all right, I'm going to like completely destroy this. And
it is, I did that very briefly too, and I like it because it's like you said, it's like very simple. It's like, okay, you have one job here.
Yeah.
You're going to obliterate your biceps or like you're going to crush your chest. And so it's like you can pick 5-6 exercises and you just know, like, all right, leave it all in the tank. You know, leave it all out there.
And over time, through school or like kind of following other people, I've gravitated more towards like a push-pull leg. But I've been thinking about lately moving into, because I've read about this in a few different like bodybuilding books now, a chest and back, a shoulder and arm, and then a leg, which is what you do. So I'll just explain really quick like my reasoning for both of those, and then you can kind of go into that too. So the push-pull leg I started because I just heard that or read that more frequency is just better overall throughout the week, that if you have a chest, a back, a shoulder, an arm, like hitting that once a week is great, but if it can recover faster throughout the week and you're able to hit it more frequently, then it just results in better overall gains. And with that, I was splitting that up to like a push day would be like more emphasis on chest one day, more emphasis on shoulders the other day, but still overall containing chest, shoulders, triceps. Same with back, like a width day, a thickness day. A leg day would be a quad dominant or hamstring dominant day. And I liked that. It's nice to kind of feel like you're tapering down. So like starting with chest, moving into shoulder, finishing with tricep or other things like that. But I feel like my reasoning now that I want to do more of like a chest and back or shoulder and arm or leg day is I can almost like prioritize my weak points rather than just feeling like I'm starting big and then moving small. So like, for example, if I were to do a chest and back day, I might start with like, you know, the other thing too with the push-pull leg is for a while I was just basing that all around like one kind of king compound for each day. So like a bench day, overhead press day, a pull-up day, a row day, or other things like that. Yeah. So now I almost feel like if I move into a chest, back, shoulder, arm, this and that, then I can prioritize like, okay, we're going to start chest and back. My upper chest is like my weakest area of everything basically of that whole split or that whole day. So I'm going to start with that, then move through like kind of every angle of the chest. So like a fly, a dip, a flat press, and then move into the back and kind of subsequently work from weak point to strong point. And similar thing with arms or other things like that. I feel like it's a little bit more intentional than just kind of, okay, pull day is going to be mostly back, but we'll just hit a couple sets of arms to like polish it off. So I feel like the the chest, back, shoulder, arm, leg split is a little bit more kind of intentional or geared around maybe weak points or other areas that you can focus on rather than just like a slope every time, if that makes sense.
And that's the problem I feel like that I ran into when I did like this hybrid like push-pull legs, where it was chest tri twice a week, back bi twice a week, legs, and then a shoulder and arm, or no, shoulder and abs.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know where I came up with this shit, but and that was like fine. But I just noticed, as you'd imagine, shoulders were a little underdeveloped. I feel like arms were a little bit underdeveloped because, like you said, I feel like when you do a push-pull like type of workout, it's kind of like, like biceps are just thrown in there at the end, or triceps are kind of just thrown in there at the end.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess you could argue the same could happen when you merge chest and back or something with that later muscle group. But for some reason, I feel like I don't run into that issue the same way. But I just feel like it makes the most sense. Like you said, you kind of glazed over it, is the frequency. I think is so important that people kind of overlook, especially as like natural athletes. I feel like frequency is very important to hit everything twice a week. So if you're just hitting legs once a week, and you're not seeing growth, you should probably hit them twice.
Yeah.
3 times might be heavy for any muscle group except like maybe arms. But I feel like you said, like, you should train a muscle as frequently as you can, as long as it recovers. So if it takes like 2 days to recover, then train it again after, on that 3rd day or whatever. If it takes 3 days, train it on that 4th day, whatever it is. And I feel like the way I've split it up, and I followed this split for, I believe, 3 years now, is chest, back, shoulders and arms, legs, rest, chest and back, shoulders and arms, legs. And like if you kind of looked at it on like a weekly schedule, basically every muscle group is getting, I believe, like a three-day kind of break, and then paired with the rest day, it ends up being like 4 once a week. And the only like really time I'm doubling up on anything is that shoulder and arm workout right after chest and tri. Sometimes, I start to feel my chest on an overhead press or close grip bench.
Yeah.
But besides that, I feel like, everything's good to go. Nothing's too fatigued. I wouldn't hit shoulders and arms before chest and back because you can imagine that would weaken, your pulling or pushing muscle groups.
Yeah.
But as far as like body splits, I mean, it starts off, I always tell people, start off with how many days a week you're going to work out. Is it 7, 6, 5, 3? And then from there, you can kind of figure things out. Like if you're only doing 3 days, I'd probably do a lower, upper, and a full.
Yeah.
If you're doing 4 days, you could do 2 upper, 2 lower. But once you're in that like 5 to 6 zone, you really can play around with the push-pull legs, play around with the chest, back, shoulders, arms, legs. The bro split has its place, but I just feel like, I don't know.
I wish that I could do it that way sometimes.
Is there a like scientific reason that I'm not thinking of that I feel like it works better for non-naturals or enhanced athletes?
I don't know, to be honest.
I feel like just recovery-wise, they can like get more out of breaking the muscle down that much, maybe?
Maybe.
I don't know. I'd have to tell somebody or ask somebody, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking out my ass. But yeah. I feel like it's more followed by enhanced athletes. I feel like there's a reason for that.
I don't know. That's a good question. It might be something to do, like you said, with recovery. How do you like having?
Because I like know that, like, it's helped me grow a lot more, and other people like doing more frequency. So I imagine,
and it's fun. Sorry to cut you off.
No, I was just gonna. It was like one little thing. Is like, so if it works so well for us, I imagine like enhanced athletes would follow it the same way and grow even more. So I assume there is a benefit for them.
That is a good point. I was going to say, I like having, especially with more frequency, having the feeling of like, okay, I did incline bench this day, so I'm going to try incline dumbbell this day, or other things like that, and feeling like I get so many different exercises to
What
play
I do is
with.
I like, I think you said you were going to do this too, but like I'll do flat bench and then incline dumbbell, and then like another day I'll do like incline something and flat on like the other thing. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's all coming together right now.
How do you like having a fixed rest day rather than, like, for example, at the moment I'm doing push-pull leg rest,
like a 3-day
push-pull leg arm
Yeah.
rest. And so it doesn't fall in line with the days of the week. And I actually am not a fan. Like, even if it's more recovery.
I love doing the days of the week.
Yeah.
Mainly because
it throws me off.
Yeah, like I know every Monday it's leg day, and it's almost like I'm just such a creature of habit. I was talking to one of our members this morning about, like, I was talking about Austin and going, and I was like, I am a bit of a workaholic, but I think part of it, especially like now, is like I love what I do. So like I don't like hate my days to where I need the weekend or I need like a vacation. Like I think I'd benefit from a few days off, but I'm just such a creature of habit. Like I love just knowing, okay, Monday morning, it's like day. Tuesday, chest or back. Wednesday, and then I know Thursday's my rest day. Plus, when it comes to like groceries or running errands, I know, okay, this is my free day.
Yeah. See, that's what it's been throwing me off a lot because, I feel like today is a rest day. But like, for example, last week, I think like Wednesday was one of the rest days. And so I feel like sometimes on days I know my schedule is busier, that's like a consistent busier during the week. If I have a leg day, but like I only have like an hour between clients, or like you have to fit it in at like 7 at night if you've been here for like, 9-10 hours or so, it makes it a lot tougher than if I could just plan, well, Friday I'll just take off. Or when it falls onto a rest day at weekends, I like to train on the weekends because I have no time limit. So it's like, well, what am I supposed to do now?
I know.
But I also feel like I sometimes like having 2 a week, I just feel like I'm chomping at the bit to like, all right, like, come on, like, let's start again.
That's how I felt when my rest days were like truly like rest days. And then even before I got into like running, I for a while was doing like athletic movement and like, I don't know, I was doing like functional or athletic stuff in the morning at like Cary Street Gym on Fridays. And then for a while I switched it to like just running like 2 miles or something, or like some kind of cardio. Like I would do like the row or something, or stairs. And then of course now it's like running on top of it. So, and it's like a long like run to where it's like a full-on workout too. And another thing, even like if you took like a normal true rest day and didn't do anything really like too active, is it throws off your macros too, because you probably have like 400 to 700 calories that you would have burned at the gym.
Oh, true.
And you have to account for that. And I always forget.
See, I never pay attention to that, to be honest, because I figure it all averages out like through the week to where like if I'm over like 400, 700, then like week after week, like it's just kind of like a lump sum overall. So that's true. All right. Next thing is the use of steroids in the industry versus natty. Do you, if you had your ideal like vision of bodybuilding, would you want them to gear more towards natural so it would seem more attainable? I'm just phrasing it that way.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
But or like, do you like the way that things have gone or continue to go? Or is there an ideal time that you feel like you'd like cap in at?
Okay, so you're asking me, let me rephrase the question.
Yeah.
Either wish that basically steroids never existed and there's like natural, like a parallel universe of natural
let's say
athletes,
a true natural.
Or there's now.
Yeah.
And then if it is now, do I feel like there is a time period where that would be like the maximal? Like,
that's not his question, but I'm just asking.
Yeah, thanks for the question, fucko. Yeah.
Well, I figured it might be interesting.
Yeah. Part of me would wonder, like, how we would all look if everyone was truly natural, because then we'd really see not just like work ethic, but true genetics. Like, because there are genetic freaks that just freaking grow and that just like have certain shapes that you're just like, damn. But truth be told, I feel like that would almost frustrate you more and be more demotivating, because you'd truly be like, damn, I literally, even if I work hard, I can't even look like that. So that'd be a little frustrating. Now, granted, I know it's not all about comparison, but there still would be that. I honestly would probably prefer generally like where we are at now to where you have the option, because I like seeing like true. I want to see things pushed to the limit, like to some extent. Like I like baseball when people are juiced up and they're smashing home runs.
Yeah,
like no one wants to see just like scrawny football players who are like injured all the time because they can't pump HGH.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But as far as like bodybuilding, I definitely like prefer like. Part of me like loves Dorian, but I feel like that was too big. Mm-hmm. So maybe like late 70s would be like where I'd like to cap it off size wise. Like I feel like the classic physique guys now, I wish that was like main bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And I'd be cool if there was like a new classic division that was like the 170s, 180s, like borderline natural, but you've taken some gear,
Yeah.
Because I feel like anything over like 240, like lean, it's like, bro, you're just this like muscle, like mountain of muscle, and you can't reach your back and this and that. Like I'd like to see some flexibility.
No flow,
yeah, there's no flow, and I don't know.
One thing I always think is interesting is when a little bit older or middle-aged people would tell me that they were like, oh, we didn't know they were on steroids back then. So like we just thought it was natural. And I almost feel like I wish that it would be that way, to where like the elites, you could just feel like,
you wish you thought Santa Claus is still real.
Well, no, I almost just feel like if everybody was natural, it would be awesome to just feel like, oh man, like I could get there too if I just like have a good work ethic. And I feel like nowadays it's so easy to just be like, oh, Chris Bumstead looks good, but steroids, so like, you know, I don't have to try as hard, basically. So I almost wonder, like, if that just was removed from everybody's mind, like, what would you think of, or what would you have as your limit, basically, that you feel like you could achieve?
I think it's different, too, because we have the understanding of, like, oh, sure, they take gear, but there's a whole lot of work behind it.
Yeah.
But, like, the average gym goer, and especially the people in the outskirts, just think it's all steroids.
Yeah.
They don't see, like, the extreme diet. They don't see, you know, the work ethic, the recovery, the type of training. They don't really understand all that. Like,
the other thing I feel like is I'm not a fan of the dick skin. I'm not a fan of the overly veiny, like shrink-wrapped skin.
Yeah.
I like to see a lot of the like 70s, 80s guys because their skin looks really healthy. They've got good separation, but not overly dry.
Body fat percentage.
So I almost feel like if everything was natural, the way natural bodybuilding is today, I think that they over diet. That I would like to see them at a little higher body fat, because then they'd be a little bit more full.
So you're saying I should have won my show?
Yeah, well, especially compared to that guy that was doing the posing face.
But no, I agree with that. Like, part of me, I'll put it this way. I like how veiny like Austin is, and I like he's gonna love this, but like I like, you know, he's got good quad veins. You got some quad veins peeking through too. I like some like some thin skin look, but to like the extent of like a lot of animal athletes, like to where it's like spaghetti
varicose,
string, the varicose veins, or like the, you know, massive, like, you know, the ones you can just like push around, and that like Ronnie's, you know,
and
that's weird. A little too much.
Yeah,
for me at least, you know.
It's weird sometimes to see like the old school pictures, because they weren't as lean or like vascular, but it almost looked like the muscle was just much more dense and separated, and
they
like
were just a little
clean.
fuller. Yeah, they were less shredded.
That's something that Arnold actually said too, is like once you get beyond a certain weight, or like for your frame in general, like let's say if you competed at 220 or something like that, you would look a lot better than like if you were a lean like 260 at your height, because at a certain point the muscle just becomes too big to like really have that good separation or like density too. So that is something I think about too, that if there was like a steroid age, I almost feel like that time period would probably be the cap I'd like it to be.
There's something about quality muscle too. Like I don't know how to like verbalize it, but there's just something when I feel like some of these bodybuilders, like I'll mention like rest in peace Dallas McCarver.
Yeah.
Like dude was so young but so big, and it's like, okay, you got there so fast. It's like not even like just there isn't muscle maturity, but I feel like the muscle's big, but it just doesn't have, some of it's genetic, but like the shape, the detail, like the lines that just take years to develop and build. I feel like you notice that with a lot of these like younger or mid-20 bodybuilders that I feel like just balloon up quick, or like the proportions aren't there as much. Like even on like some people that I feel like are local that are like big, but I wouldn't say their physique is better than someone who's smaller, just because like, just, you know, I don't know. Like you'll see a tricep that has like no lateral head.
Yeah. It's very flat looking.
Yeah, and you're just like, meh, you know, doesn't have that horseshoe. You know?
Yeah, I agree. So, I don't know. It is kind of a point of contention, but let's see. What has been the most impactful piece of advice you've ever received?
Man, do you have something?
I have one, yeah. I was thinking about this, and I don't know what you'll think or not, but have you ever, it's not really an advice as much as it is a story that I always just think about. So, I might butcher this, but basically it's the fisherman and the businessman. So there's this businessman that's on a retreat, let's say down in Mexico or something. He's walking along the beach, the sun is setting, and he sees this fisherman pull up in a boat. And he's got a big kind of haul that he's about to take to the market. And he says, like, you're wrapping up for the day, like, where are you headed, basically? And the fisherman says, I'm going to go drop this off to sell, and then I might go, like, walk on the beach with my family, might go play guitar with my friends, this and that. And so the businessman says, well, if you stayed out a little bit longer, you could get more of a catch, and then you could buy another net, and then that would make you have more fish, and then you could hire somebody else and get a bigger boat, and then you could grow your company and kind of just franchise or like develop this like big scale operation. And then once you're a few years in and successful, you can sell the business and retire. And then the fisherman says, well, then what would I do? And he's like, well, then you could walk on the beach with your family. You could play guitar with your friends or other things like that. So it's just something that I always think about, because we have these visions sometimes of like, oh, my life would be like this or that. And regardless of working hard or making money, I think like if you don't take time to live or do things other than that, or if you just push your life off for the sake of income, then you lose out on so many beneficial aspects of life that you never want to look back and just wish that, man, like, all these things that I could have done that I just kind of waited to do.
I think there's definitely like a balance that's different for everyone. It's kind of like how I think about it, and we've talked about it, like, this IRA or like saving for retirement.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know I personally don't ever plan on like retiring. It doesn't mean I'm going to work as many hours as I do now, but I feel like I always need something. I mean, I look at my grandparents. I don't know if you feel the same way, and I feel like they live a meaningless life right now.
Yeah.
And it's like they just every day is watching Wheel of Fortune and CBS News.
Yeah.
And calling their friends and talking about who just passed away.
Yeah. And did you see what so-and-so said?
And
or
it's
other
like,
things like that.
I just don't want that. Like, I'd like to have at least some simple job or some simple club or something. So, there's that. And it's like, the people that are like, yeah, well, I work at this business for 40 years and I'll get my pension and then I'll buy my Mercedes. And then, we can move to Florida. And it's like, okay, do you want to live 40 years of a shit-filled life for like the last 20 of your years? To be great. It's like, or on a simpler format, like you want to work 5 days at a job you hate to just live it up on the weekend.
Yeah, and blow it off.
And so I think there's absolutely a balance to where, money is and everything. And that I think you do got to like enjoy the moment and appreciate these little things. That's like, one thing I was kind of talking about earlier. It's like, I love what I do. And I didn't always like have this, it's like when I was personal training at VCU and a student and like working at the kitchen table, like editing videos, it's like, Maddie's like, we watch a show, we can go out. And it's like, I'm lucky that she understood, like, we wanted to build this gym. And I knew that, like, okay, well, once we can get this gym, not to follow the businessman's point of perspective, but there's a balance. There's got to be, like, a cutoff point. So
especially if it's your overall life goal.
It's kind of like dieting for show. It's like you got to embrace the suck. You got to embrace the, you got to have some discipline to take away some happiness or enjoyment for your life for the long-term happiness or goal that is there, as long as it's a realistic situation. Yeah. So
I've trained a lot of people that are like a lawyer or something that's like kind of this esteemed kind of high-paying job or something like that. And it's almost like they were like memed into doing this thing that then they've got all this debt that they have to pay off. And it's almost like, I used to train this one girl that I could only train her at like 5:30 in the morning, and she would go to bed at like 2 in the morning because she had so much work to do and commute and this and that. And she's like, well, in 10 years, like, I'll make my way higher up in the company and my schedule won't be as bad. But I almost just figure, like, if you spent your entire, like, 25 to 35 just hating your life and, like, dragging on and just thinking about quitting it all and, like, just doing something simple instead, is it really that worth it just to, like, move a notch higher? Or a lot of people I've trained, too, that, like, they're promised this pension or something like that, and they get to that, like, 39th out of 40th year, and the job is dissolved. Yeah, so I almost feel like things aren't maybe the way they used to be. Like, my granddad worked for the railroad, and so, like, once he put the time in, like, they basically, pay you off, or you're kind of a part of that company family. and it's just not the way things work anymore. So I figure if you can enjoy what you do and like have as much self-sufficiency within that as you can, or like good balance of enjoyment and income, like that's really the key there.
I think balance is the perfect way to put it. Advice for me, I don't know. I don't really have like this like aha moment or story, but two things that stuck out to me that, you know, you appreciate when you're older is one, just like every other kid, I took a taekwondo or like, you know, karate class as a kid. And one thing the instructor always would get on like little kids about, we'd be like 7, 8 years old. We'd come in late, you know, like 5 minutes or something, and he'd say, "Brock, why are you late?" And I'd say, well, and he'd say, "Brock, why are you late?" I'd say, "Well, my mom," and then, "Brock, why are you late?" And he'd keep saying it until at the end, like, you just shut up, and then he'd say, or until you would say, "There are no excuses for being late," or like, "I'm sorry," or something like that. And it sounds like, oh damn, he's like yelling at this little kid, but it doesn't matter if truly you're late because of traffic that you couldn't control, or if you're late because, you know, your parents couldn't drive you, this or that. At the end of the day, you know, life is very black and white. If you're late to the interview, they don't care if there was like a massive accident. If you know, show up to a show out of shape, you know, it doesn't matter if you're late on rent, it doesn't matter. Like right now with COVID, you know, you can, you know, file for forbearance and stuff, but eventually like that rent's due. And it doesn't matter. And so that's been a good lesson for me, is like, at the end of the day, you know, hard work's cool, but where's the result? The result's got to be there with it. And then another thing, like my dad just would ream me for so many years, but now I just like look back and thank him for it, because I think it's made me a better person, is like the idea of like no excuses. It's like same deal, like whether, you know, there actually is a reason why, you know, I'm missing these swings at batting practice, or, you know, when me and him would like pitch and I'm doing X, Y, or Z, or why I didn't do this. It's like, you know, I'd say something and no excuses. That doesn't matter. Like, you're making excuses. And it's like, it's just, I feel like now I'm a caricature of that now. But I just feel like that stuff has shaped me to be a very, like, stubborn, like, dogmatic person. And you know.
And it never feels good to make an excuse for something, too. It never feels good to just be like, oh, like, I didn't do this because I just wasn't feeling very good. They kind of connect
because the excuses don't make the result. Like, you know, it doesn't matter why you're late. It doesn't matter why you didn't do the workout or whatever. It didn't happen. It's black and white. You either did or you didn't. It's yes or no.
Yeah.
So that would be my advice that's stuck with me or shaped me. Let's get another question going.
All right, next one. When programming, do you look more at what the research says or more at what experienced bodybuilders say?
I know we talked about this. I'm a very it's 60-40, but I don't know which is which. I feel like I'm 60% like bro science, or like intuition, or like going off people's experience, and 40% off science. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I feel like at first when I started, I was like, it's almost like that parabola kind of graph where it's like both ends of the spectrum, experienced and beginner, have the same like frame or mindset, that you kind of get complicated in the middle, but then you come out the other side with the same mindset but just a different perspective as you were when you were a beginner. So for example, like when I first started, it's like, oh, I like this guy's physique. I will like just look at what he does and then copy that. And then I feel like as time went on, I'm like, all right, well, like what's the most like scientifically appropriate, or like what's been shown to like have the best studies or results or other things like that, and tried to like do what the book says basically. And then I kind of, especially in the past year, have really reverted back to that initial mindset of like all these other things get in the way almost of like, there are many ways to skin a cat, sure, but if you know what your overall goal is, then you need to be able to parse out like what is going to help you and what's going to distract you almost. Like for example, in another kind of way of doing this, guitar. Like I used to take guitar lessons because I wanted to play songs like John Mayer, and he wraps his thumb over the bridge or does certain things, finger picks more. And I went to 2 or 3 different guitar teachers, and all of them were like, you know, that's not standard. Put your thumb behind the neck, pick with a pick, this and that. And I learned to do that, but it became harder to then do what I wanted to do, because that's not exactly like how the things that I wanted to play were. And I feel like I almost had to undo that teaching to then be able to do what I wanted to do, or kind of develop that skill then on my own. And so with bodybuilding or lifting, there is value, there is merit to studies or exercise science or this or that. But at the end of the day, who are you to tell all these people in the past that they did it wrong because they weren't doing it based on today's standards? And also the thing to think about with a lot of these studies or research or other things like that is, if you look at a sample size of subjects and this, and this produce this result, is that bodybuilding though? How do we know like who they're testing?
Majority of the time,
is that bodybuilding?
They like most of the times you read like the abstract or the breakdown of the study, they aren't trained individuals.
Yeah.
And even if they are, like, says who.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Because they've gone to the gym for like 12 months. A lot of times like that's like a standard or something like that. And it's like, how many people do you know that go to the gym consistently but don't look good or don't train hard? It's like there's too many variabilities or variables to it. And, you know, to your point, it's like, I feel like studies or this is how to do things, it puts you all in like this box. And it's like, well, what if I don't want to look like or train or perform like someone in this box? A lot of like the best athletes or the John Mayers of the world are on the outskirts. They're innovators. They're creative. They're not afraid to work out of, you know, a study or the norm. And so, you know, it's not like you should disregard everything like that, but I think there has to be, especially with something like your body. I mean, we see it with diet. Like, we've known about diet for centuries now, and like there's no one-way approach to anything. It's because we're so different bodily, interest-wise, taste-wise, allergies, like how you, I mean, there's just too much to go to where I feel like first and foremost, like we talked about with training, like, can you do it consistently? Will you do it consistently? So it kind of is a balance of passion, a balance of perseverance, a passive enjoyment, you know, and then you can work on, okay, well, how effective is it? And try and, you know, work from there. But I feel like anything will work if you do, you know.
Well, the other thing I feel like that we've gotten off the rails a little bit with today's day and age is all throughout history, like, man has questioned, has discovered, like, has done things for himself that, you know, a lot of progress or findings are kind of made from different visionaries or something like that. And I feel like in today's day and age, it's so easy now to like just see, oh, well, you know, I'mRight.com says this, or like, you know, this is the general consensus of what's promoted on Instagram, so this is the way it is, or experts say this. And I feel like, especially when you look back at some of these different people or cases, it's very interesting to me. I would much rather look at someone who was a visionary or a pioneer and their wisdom and their account and kind of their, you know, method or story that got them to where they were, rather than just, well, you know, studies say this or other things like that.
What's been so interesting, and I have the book, I could loan it to you, is I really enjoyed Tools of Titans, which is basically a collection in written version of like all the podcasts like Tim Ferriss has had with different people from intellectuals to authors to actors to Arnold to like different people, and all that are excellent at their craft and very like unique individuals. And it's really cool to not only like, I mean, their accolades are cool, what their advice is cool, but seeing their like path, what made them or led them to these decisions, what decisions they made that got them to that end goal, that successful company, that you know, startup, that product, that achievement. It's very interesting. I feel like I gain more from hearing someone's story than what advice they tell me. You know what I mean?
That's true.
And like you said, like it's just from seeing their creativity or seeing kind of what they do that isn't standard.
Well, it's always, that's why I've been liking some of these older books so much, is sometimes like 80% of the book might be stuff you already know, but you read that one line, that one paragraph that's like, oh, I never thought about it that way, or other things like that then changes your whole kind of lifestyle from then on out. Let's see. Next question. Do tattoos ruin physiques, or can it complement a physique if done tastefully?
I think the only place tattoos for bodybuilding can work without impacting a physique at all is, I'd say, forearms.
Yeah.
Maybe a shin or calf.
I would say two things. One, just to meme, Rich Piana, I feel like accentuated his physique because they kind of matched the flow of the muscle. So like he had lines down his obliques that made the waist look narrower, other things like that. But I feel like he was just such a interesting character that it like worked for him. Mm-hmm. But I would say another one though that I do feel like worked is like a Ziz type character where you have chest line and then an opposing sleeve. I just feel like it almost balances each other out. But it does cover up so much.
Yeah, you lose detail, you lose veins. I think you can pull it off. Like there's people that do it, but I think if like you're trying to look as aesthetically pleasing as possible and show the lines, the detail, things like that, then it's a no. It's kind of like I don't plan on getting a sleeve because I don't want to cover up, like the arm and the shoulder and things like that.
Don't put a bumper sticker on a Lambo.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it just comes down to like, do you want the tattoo? Is the tattoo important enough to you? Then go for it. Because you're not going to bodybuild like forever, and it's not all about, unless you're like, so into it, it's not all about that one show.
Yeah, exactly.
Like unless you're a pro bodybuilder, like bro, just get the tattoo.
That's true.
Monster
Energy logo.
Yeah.
This was one from Iron Built Gym. Which ball hangs lower? I think it's the left one.
Are you asking me or are you telling you? I think
depends on the day.
Oh man, I forgot which one. I think because I know if I like breathe in like high, I can suck one. I think the right one hangs lower.
Ah, dang! Ebony and Ivory. Next one is, what is you and Brock's love story? How did y'all meet? And who said I love you first? Should we tell the story? It was a dark and stormy night.
Yeah. He ripped off his shirt as the rain was pouring down. I guess the first time I saw you was at AmFam Short Pump. The first time I remember having a conversation was at VCC in like the Techno Gym Circuit area. You remember that outside the basketball court?
Not really, if I'm being honest. Do you remember what the context was?
I think we were just talking a little bit about like 10 because he was still working at the time.
No, I do remember that now that you mention it.
Yeah.
I think we mentioned the weight room too.
Probably mentioned I'd been there.
Because how old were you back then?
By the time you were still there, I was 15, turning 16. So I was probably almost 16 or right around there.
Because I remember you being like 15 or 16, and then I remember when you posted that video of you at the weight room, that edit, I was like, he's growing up. Like, And then it wasn't until probably the Nut Bash that I feel like we started like
Did we even
hanging
talk
out more. Not really. It was just in passing, like, hey, what's up, sort of thing.
But when did we start talking more? Obviously around GYMFLO time. But was it like a skit that we did, or?
Well, I think after that, I saw you guys at Cary Street Gym.
Oh yeah, I remember
would
walking
see y'all
up to
there.
You,
yeah.
And so we talk here or there.
After that, I think it was, which was kind of weird because I feel like it was like fleeting.
I remember I was slightly
here and
annoyed
there.
because I remember I was like mid hamstring workout or like leg day, and then I went to talk to you, and we just have like good conversations, but it was like 30, 40 minutes, and then I was like, my workout's basically over.
Yeah. But it is funny because I feel like then after we met we started to, whether it was like a skit or just like getting together to film a workout, then it was immediately like just into a good groove or good like mindset to where like you were telling me about opening the gym, and then like we started hanging out more regularly or talking, and
I remember
then it moved into the group chat.
It takes a while to like get to know people. There's always that like almost awkward stage to where you just talk about the one commonality of lifting. Or like when Maddie and I first started talking, like when we started dating, really the only conversations we had were around the gym and supplements and Halo Top. And
dang, I remember those days.
Yeah. And do people even have that anymore?
I remember when they launched like 10 flavors.
That was like they came out like new ones, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. I used to have like a pint a night.
Yeah.
Maddie and I used to
was
crush.
like, this is a protein source.
Yeah.
But
anyway.
No, I feel like even to the point of quarantine last year,
quarantine
I still
was when we
felt
got
like,
closest,
still felt like we were like casual friends. But it was, I remember texting
it's
you
when
guys
he first
like,
came to my house.
Yeah. I remember texting you guys like, hey, I'm sorry to like intrude on y'all's workout time together to like come hang out in the garage.
Yeah, I remember you used to ask like each day in the morning for like permission to come work out, and then eventually I was like, you don't need to ask, just come on over.
Yeah.
And then we would expect it. I almost miss those garage workouts, man, because it was like that was the one thing you had to look forward to each day. Everything else was because we didn't have the gym to go to, so it was literally like home.
And it kind of felt good. I'm not gonna lie, like getting unemployment and then just being like, all right, well, that's the only thing to look forward to today. Like, then I'm gonna go home and just like walk, take a nap.
Maddie and I think we binge watched like the X-Men and other things. And I mean, I still was like editing, and we started looking for the gym and things like that. But there was just
your X-Men.
There was just a
1, 2, 3 movies.
Yeah, something about like looking into those or like looking forward to those workouts of just like, all right, which all or nothing, and then we'd take like the old Overcome, and then we'd just blast music in the speakers, and we're near the yard, and Dobie's like just a little pup there in Buddha too, and I don't know, just it has that nostalgic feeling.
Yeah, I know.
But,
it felt like almost like looking back on like a high school summer or something like that. Like an innocent,
it was
like
the summer of '69.
Before you have any responsibilities or care about anything. Dang,
we need another pandemic.
I know.
Apparently, we're still in it. That's what I hear.
I know. We'll see what this year brings. Next question is SARMs. That's it.
I don't know too much about it, but I feel like if you're gonna take stuff, just go for it.
Yeah,
I feel like SARMs is like a workaround. One thing I do feel like though is people are like taking SARMs and then just acting like it's not a thing and it's just like natural.
Yeah, like it's pretty much just like creatine, BCAAs.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's like, not natural, but not on gear technically to where like if you're spending your money, if you're doing this like as a like cycle, quote unquote, like might as well just like go all in basically. Don't waste your time, don't waste your money. And last question, when you're old, looking back on life, what is one thing you hope to be proud that you did?
I want to know that I like maximized. Jesus. I want to know I maximized what I was capable of, because I feel like I've done so much at a young age that it would be so disappointing to know I didn't continue to like rise. Like, I mean, everyone has a peak at some point, right? But
True.
I would hate to. I don't want to like just have like a peak. I want to have like a peak for a certain category of my life. Like I might reach my fitness, like physical peak in like late 20s, early 30s, whatever it is. But like business wise, like why can't I be the most successful I've been in business in my 50s or 60s, So it's like I just want to look back on my life and know that like each year I had goals and was productive and that I did as much as I could have. I don't want to like be like, damn, I left things in the tank, or I didn't take that risk, or give that a try, or I just let the time pass. I don't know. I guess that's the only thing I'd want to look back on. And
I would say I don't know if this is a goal per se, but one thing that I've always tried to like hold close in terms of priority in life is to not lose, I don't want to say like childlike sense, but not lose like a childlike sense of wonder or like interest or passion towards things. Because I feel like it's always hard sometimes when I have like work construction, or you're around other people that I feel like they get pulled away from kind of the beauty of life or other things like that. They get these different vices, or you get into this rut where you just go to work, go home, watch TV, or like get drunk at the end of the day, or other things like that. And I feel like to me there have been so many moments in life where like maybe things haven't been going well, but like a weekend camping trip and like just being out in the mountains, or like even this morning or something like that, I just love like seeing the bluebirds in the yard or other things like that.
That's something I've done. It's just appreciating like the day.
Yeah,
like
how
how special it is. You know?
Or even like just, making a breakfast or something like that. Just like being thankful or really just enjoying like those little things, or kind of never really losing that. I don't know. Like there's this one thing that my dad always tells me that I reminded him when I was a kid. We used to sometimes go on a bike ride, and when I first got a camera, a lot of times I'd like to like stop and take a picture of this cloud that looks cool or other things like that. And at the time he was like, hurry up, we got to be back at this time or that time. And he told me like a month later, I've been thinking about that day ever since we did that bike ride. And he's like, and you really like opened my eyes to how much I just move through stuff without thinking, or like always think about the next thing I have to do, or I have to finish this or that. And he's like, and it really made me just kind of stop and reevaluate like what my priority is, or like what's important to me in the day to day. So I feel like that's just something I've always wanted to like keep close or hold true, is like never really getting so bogged down or frustrated or stressed about stuff that you forget like just those little.
It's hard to do.
things.
I think about that with Adobe sometimes. Other things too, but he just comes to mind when it's like he does, he chews up something or I remember, God, I have to take him out.
Yeah.
But then sometimes you just be like, he's not always going to be there.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
And how lucky I am to clean up his poop, or how lucky I am to take him out, or this or that, because one day he won't be pooping down the hallway.
Yeah.
He'll be passed away or whatever can happen. So like, appreciating the moments. Both literally and figuratively, taking a moment to stop and take a picture, and like just appreciate. I really get, I'd say like instead of like a runner's high, like those are kind of like the feelings I get when I'm running sometimes, and it's a really nice like sunny day, and I can just be like, how lucky am I to be able-bodied, but like but for real though, to just be able to like run out here and to have the freedom and flexibility to like do this, and it'd be a great day, and just being grateful, I think is like a underrated. I don't know if I call it a skill, but almost like a skill that I feel like people don't. They just let pass. They don't think about it. But appreciating the days we get to be here, appreciating the quarantine workouts, because as people realize, gyms can close.
Yeah, that's true.
So being thankful.
No, I definitely agree. And I think, like you said, with Dobie, it's interesting because I've been thinking about that with Buddha lately, is sometimes when I get home, he's like very impatient to get fed. And I feel like you can have 1-2 approaches. You can be like, hey, sit down. Like, let me do this and that. But I almost am like, somebody's hungry. Like, somebody's excited. Because I feel like, these little moments where he's like running around my feet and excited, at some point, the house is going to be empty. And I don't like to think like that. But certain things I feel like can be like, an irritation or something mild, but if you frame it the right way, can be like such a special like little moment or other things like that too. So it's just always important to like keep that stuff in context and not just let time or other things like that slip away, and also like just frame things differently as far as your outlook on life or kind of time.
I think you can always turn something into like, if not a positive, a learning lesson or something to like look back on, or an experience that you had that you now can, log in your brain. I don't know. Yeah. Dang. Was that the last question?
We did get one more, kind of like off out of context a little bit, based off of that like emotional.
Yeah, that was more an emotional one.
People that coach when they have no certifications, and why that's bad.
So me now, I technically do have a cert, but it'll probably expire in a year, and then I won't renew it. And why it's bad? So they're assuming it's bad.
Yeah. So I maybe have my own thoughts on that. Like somebody like a Charles Glass, I would say maybe he doesn't have a NASM, but if that's like 30, 40 years of experience and their own kind of method of doing things, I think that that's much more important. And a lot of clients of mine are always like, oh, how did you learn like how to explain this way, or other things like that? It's not in the certification book. It's just something that like I try to learn myself.
I usually judge people off their experience first, and then their certifications. Like I never care about the letters people put in their bio or their name.
Yeah.
I really care about like, okay, like how are your athletes doing? How are you getting them there? Like, Yeah, like, I mean, you can have a certification and diet people to, like, eating disorders.
Yeah.
Or not have a certification and do the same, like, awful job. It's more about, like, what are you doing with your clients, your athletes, your employees, yourself, things like that. What grinds my gears about some trainers or coaches or whatever it is like when they don't practice like what they preach.
Yeah.
Because it's like you can be a great trainer and still be overweight. I get that. But at the same time, I feel like you'd be even better and you'd have more credibility behind your name if you practice what you preach, if you did what you said, you know?
Yeah.
It's something I tell myself. It's like I talk all this shit about hard work and pushing yourself, but if I'm in here just like dicking around, you know, or I'm slacking on like my like runs or whatever, and I'm just like calling it quits at like 4 miles, I'm like, yeah, I've had a bad day.
Yeah.
Like, even it's just a joke, you know. And I even if I lied, like I'd know I'm lying to myself, and that's just not, you know, what I want to do. So,
and I feel like for me, I don't know if you feel this way, but maybe regardless of like being trained or not, I feel like a lot of the people that I look to or like their content or try to just look at what they're doing, it's not because of a certification, but I'm like, I like his like, you know, work ethic. I like his personality. I like, methodology that like I really gravitate towards that. And that's something that I feel like I can pull from or other things like that. So I don't know. I don't necessarily feel like you have to have a certification. And I also feel like sometimes I'm surprised at the people that do have a certification that I'm like, they're doing that. So
yeah. All right, and then I got my 2 questions because I don't have as many fans. First one I'll ask because it's a little quicker. Would you rather never have a stimulant or pre-workout for the rest of your life, or lose one sense of taste for 1 year?
I'd rather never have a stimulant. I feel like it's something I need to wean myself off of anyway.
Yeah, for the rest of your life, though.
You could have a pump product.
But you couldn't have caffeine or coffee or any kind of stimulant, though.
I think I could do it. Get better sleep. Focus more on meals.
Because it's for my life, I do the sense of taste for 1 year. Just because I feel like it'd be an awful year, but like sometimes eating feels like a chore anyway.
When you get it back too, I feel like
yeah. Oh, it's like I've never had it before. Yeah. But if it was like 1 year to 1 year ratio, I'd skip the pre-workout for a year. And then the other one was, what would be your one piece of advice for anyone getting ready for a bodybuilding show? You haven't done one, but,
work hard.
Take your greens. My advice would be, there's a couple things you could do, but one thing that I think about that a lot of people like gloss over, or that really I feel like when I'm at a show watching people, I'm just like, oh my God, how did you miss that? Is posing.
Oh yeah.
It's like once you 16 weeks out, whenever you start dieting, you need to be posing at least once a week, going through it all, ideally after workout when you're already out of breath, because when you're about to go on stage and you're already pumped up, you're already breathing hard, and then you're nervous, so you're already breathing even more hard.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the last 2 weeks out, you should be practicing daily. I never had a posing coach. I watched some YouTube videos and practiced myself. I took videos, photos. So I don't think you need that, but I think you just gotta practice, man. I see some people get on stage. It's like, who taught you to hit a side chest like that?
Yeah.
Or who taught you to position, you know, your body that way? It's like, what the hell is going on?
One thing I would say, and I remember you talked about this, is I think a lot of people put so much emphasis on the peak week or like show day protocol. Yeah. And I remember that you were kind of ready like a few weeks out and just kind of held what you had and didn't really try to like push and then do this crazy thing like during the week of. And I feel like I've seen some of my friends or like other people I know that they have this like peak week thing that they need to do, and it like completely screws them up on the day of. That it's like, you know, if you were just ready and kind of were consistent and just focused on like, you know, week by week sort of thing, rather than thinking that it all rides on this like 48 hours or something like that.
It's so risky, man, especially as a natural. And then with it being risky, it's like manipulating your water, sodium, and stuff is so complicated. The only thing I think I did, I'd have to look back at my vlogs, but I think I just increased calories by 200, all from like carbs. It was like 25 grams of carbs or something like that.
Yeah.
Besides that, no, I mean, like, yeah, you're ready or you're not, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, that'd be the advice.
Nice.
You want to wrap up the show?
Yeah, so thank you guys for watching. Thank you for the questions.
Yeah.
It was a fun one with just the
If
two
you
of
like
us.
more of just us, let us know, and we'll make sure we do them without Austin.
Yeah, I
Make
know,
sure you
after
follow
dark.
us. Yeah, at Fit Griffin, at Brock Covington. Follow the All or Nothing Show. It's on YouTube, obviously. It's on Spotify. It's on Apple Podcasts, wherever you want to follow it. Do that. If you did listen to it and enjoyed it, share it on the story. Tag us. We'd love the support.
Yeah, appreciate it.
And all that jazz.
Have a great week.
Yeah, that'll be it. Have a
Thanks
good
for
one.
tuning in.